Moving to France? Discover the best regions, real costs, and what life in France is really like. Welcome back to Storybook Living France, your guide to moving, living, and thriving in France. And welcome back to Rennes. Last week in part 1, we explored Rennes' student-driven energy, the gorgeous Thabor Park, and that unforgettable social scene around Place des Lys. We know the vibe is great, but now we're moving from vibe to value, what it costs, how safe it is, and what daily life really feels like. But before diving into numbers, let's finish our happy hour from last week with a quick look at the expat side of Rennes. While Rennes is primarily known as a huge university city, it's also a regional capital full of administration, culture, and a surprisingly diverse crowd. If you're craving international connections, there are plenty of friendly hangouts. Try Penny Lane, tucked in vaulted cellars with live music and a great whiskey list, or Fox and Friends Pub, a laid-back spot for burgers, beer, and sports. For cafe culture, check out Gang Café de Courtier for specialty coffee and comfort food, or Why Not Coffee, known for its warm staff and great brews. Links to all of these spots are in the description below. If you plan to move to Rennes, brace yourself because housing is the city's biggest challenge. Locals often say the real problem in Rennes is finding a place to live. Because of the massive student and young professional population, the market is extremely competitive and prices keep climbing. Here are some typical monthly rent prices excluding utilities. For a studio or one bedroom, an apartment ranges from $505 to $1,036 US or 450 to 900 euros, depending on the distance from the center or university. Pro tip is to start your search in November when students leave for internships. For a 3+ bedroom family apartment or house, you might spend around $1,500 US to $2,073 or $1,300 to $1,800 euros. Most landlords require a French or EU-based guarantor. If you're arriving from outside the EU, use services like Garant Me or Visal for students and young workers to act as your official guarantee. It's often the only way to secure a lease. If you are buying a property, Rennes is one of France's pricier regional capitals. Median apartment prices are about $4,440 per square meter or 4,000 euros, and median house prices are roughly $4,880 to $5,720 US per square meter or 4,400 to 5,150 euros. Here are a few examples of what's on the market right now. A one-bedroom apartment starts at around $187,000 or 162,000 euros. A two-bedroom apartment ranges from $305 to $783,000 or 265 up to 680 euros. A 161 square meter, 6-bedroom renovation project in central Rennes is listed at 560,000 US or 488,000 euros. A modern 5-bed house with pool in Saint-Thérèse-à-Rennes costs 972,000 US or 760,000 euros. And about 30 minutes out is a stunning 6-bedroom maison de maître listed for around $685,000 or 595,000 euros. Maison de maître literally means master's house, which is an elegant 18th or 19th century home once owned by the bourgeois class. I dropped some of these links in the description for you as well. An example of utilities, including water, heat, internet plus mobile phone, you can expect them to run about $115 to $172 per month for a single person's apartment, or 100 to 150 euros. While rent is high, the overall cost of living in Rennes is moderate compared with Paris or Lyon. For groceries, some typical prices are as follows. A dozen eggs costs $4.30 or €3.73. A quart of milk costs $1.08 or 0.94 euros. 16 ounces of local cheese costs $5.93 or about €5.15. 2 pounds of potatoes cost $2.36 or €2.05. Daily bread for two costs $1.42 or €1.23. A good bottle of red wine costs about $9.21 or €8. A single person spends roughly $275 to $330 US per month on groceries, or 250 to €300. And when you are out and about, a lunch meal in the business district will cost around $16 or €14, while a cocktail downtown will cost you $11.50 or €10. Rennes has a vibrant job market led by technology, telecoms, and government administration. For typical gross annual salaries, the national average in all of France is around 44,000 US or 39,800 euros. The average typical gross annual salary in Rennes is 47,000 US or 42,900 euros. Salary for a software engineer can start at 39,000 up to 61,000 US or 35,000 euros to 55,000 euros. For an IT consultant, salaries start at 39,000 up to 92,000 US or 35.5 to about 83,000 euros. A salary for a job as a healthcare assistant, aide-soignante, is about 26,000 to 33,000 US or 24 to 30,000 euros. And a retail salesperson can earn between 24 and 32,000 US or about 21,000 to 28.8 thousand euros. France's social contributions and income tax are deducted directly from your salary, so be sure to factor that into your net income. For U.S. citizens, moving to France typically requires a long-stay visa, valid for 1 year, renewable annually, or convertible into a multi-year residency permit. For more on this, feel free to download my free guide, which covers some basics about relocating, available in the description below. Rennes is often praised for its great schools and culture, making it highly desirable for families. The French education system begins with the free école maternelle or preschool starting at age 3. Before the free school starts, childcare for infants and toddlers up to the age of 3 is available through heavily subsidized daycare or private nannies. Daycare costs are calculated on a sliding scale based on family income. For a typical middle-income family, the final net cost after subsidies is usually between $574 to $688 US per month, or 5 to 600 euros. A pricier option is a private daycare center, which can cost $1,950 to $2,440 US or $1,750 to $2,200 euros, but government benefits and tax credits later refund up to 85% of that cost. Once a child is enrolled in preschool, école maternelle, at age 3, the tuition is free, though you should budget for optional school lunch and after-school care, which is affordable, typically under €4 per hour. You can also hire a babysitter for the older kids for about $12 to $14 per hour, or 11 to 13 euros per hour. If you're looking for proximity to the city center, but with excellent amenities and green spaces, look at Faubourg Saint-Hélier in the second quarter. It's considered one of the best neighborhoods in Rennes for its quiet residential feel balanced with city access and the gorgeous Thabor Park. For dedicated family zones known specifically for their schools and abundant parks, explore the Jeanne d'Arc, Longchamp, Beaulieu area in the sixth quarter. While housing in the city center is expensive and highly competitive, the surrounding towns offer a traditional suburban lifestyle, often at a slightly better price for larger houses. Popular affluent suburbs include Cesson-Sévigné and Saint-Grégoire. These are attractive towns that offer great quality of life, but be aware that while they have good public transport links, getting you into Rennes in about 45 minutes, road traffic during peak hours can be significant. In the city itself, neighborhoods like Bourg-l'Évêque or Carouge may offer houses or more affordable apartments, with Carouge being particularly well connected to the Metro B line and the peripheral ring road for quicker exits. Rennes consistently ranks among France's safest mid-sized cities. Gun violence is practically non-existent, and most crimes are minor, pickpocketing or petty theft in crowded zones like the train station or in the Saturday market. Locals say they feel secure day to day, just use normal common sense at night, especially near Place Sainte Anne, Charles de Gaulle, or in parts of Le Blasnais and Ville Jean Kennedy after the bars close. As one Redditor summed it up, you'll feel very safe here, just stay aware after dark. Rennes doesn't just function as a city, it lives as a cultural hub where tradition and innovation dance together in cafes, museums, festivals, and kitchens. At the heart of it is Les Champs Libres, a major cultural center near the train station that houses the Museum of Brittany, a science center with a planetarium and dynamic exhibition spaces. Also, the Museum of Fine Arts is nearby, offering both classical and contemporary works. Local art centers like the Cuisine champion contemporary art, while street art pops up throughout the city, giving Rennes a vibrant, youthful energy. Festivals abound, from Les Tombées de la Nuit, celebrating street performance, to Transmusicale, a cutting-edge music festival. The city's mix of historic half-timbered houses and bold modern architecture creates a stylish, lived-in feel. Of course, food is equally central to life here. Don't miss the Marché des Lys on Saturday mornings, one of France's largest food markets outside of Paris, offering local produce, oysters, breads, cider, and the beloved galette saucisse. Signature Breton dishes include galettes, which are savory buckwheat crepes, and crepes, which are sweet. Also, Queen Amman, a caramelized, buttery pastry, and fresh seafood from nearby coasts. Young chefs and gastro-innovators are putting creative spins on Breton cuisine, vegan galettes, craft beers, brewed locally, and fusion cafes reflecting Rennes' growing international crowd. If you wander into a cozy creperie in a 17th century half-timbered building, order a galette complete, which has cheese and egg. Raise a bowl of local cider, and right there you're tasting Rennes. After your meal, stroll into a nearby museum or catch an evening street art installation. In Rennes, the arts and the appetite meet. Locals often say people in Rennes are warmer than in Paris, friendlier, more open, and genuinely smiling. Add to that Brittany's lush green scenery, 4 distinct seasons, and a strong sense of identity, and you can see why Rennes continually ranks as one of France's most livable cities. The small airport's connections to the UK and wider Europe are just the cherry on top. And I want to say a huge thanks to everyone who voted. The winner for next week's series is Dijon. Stay tuned for that 2-part series and make sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. And I'd love it if you could like and subscribe to help my new channel grow. Also, if you haven't grabbed my free location guide, the link is right below in the description. It's a handy checklist for anyone dreaming of life in France. And that wraps up our full deep dive into the housing, cost of living, and quality of life in Rennes. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week in Dijon.